Hello everyone, Andrig with Andrig's Air Cooled Technology. I want to make a quick video on a piece of what I'm developing for the Evolution 1 fan shroud and cooling system. Because it requires oil cooler block off, because it needs, it's going to use an external oil cooler. There's no in shroud oil cooler like the doghouse. Um, I decided to design my own oil cooler block off, and I wanted to show that to you and really explain the reasons why. I've got it in my hand here. I'll explain in a bit. So I could have just purchased some off-the-shelf oil cooler block offs. There's plenty out there. They're typically just cast aluminum pieces with a gasket. And that was the part that I really didn't like. Having run one of those on an engine in the past, one of the things that I notice is that the gasket over time kind of absorbs oil and it just starts to leak. And of course, it's a custom gasket. It's not just in your normal gasket set that you can use. So I was always wondering why they did that. Well, the really simple reason why they did that is simplicity of making them. If you do that, so there's two passages, and I'm going to show you the bottom of my oil cooler block off plate. There's two passages, and this is a CNC machine, so it's got a pipe plug on one side to make it possible to CNC machine that. What they do in the typical ones that you see in aftermarket oil cooler block off plates is they just have a big groove right here. There's no passage, oil passage that in and out. It's just a big groove, and the gasket just goes around the outside. That's why the gasket starts to absorb oil and gets saturated, and eventually it starts to leak. And of course, it's a custom gasket, so you can't just go into your gasket set and say, "Oh, pick up these and I'm done," or what have you, right? So I designed this very specifically to have the exact same underneath for the silicone seals that I use on the oil cooler. So here's the standard silicone seals, comes in your gasket set. They just fit right in the exact same spot. So you don't have to have any custom gaskets. You can just use the ones that you already have. And if you've got a gasket set laying around, it'll have these in there and you can just use them. So that was like one of the big reasons I actually changed this. The other reason is just making it very low profile so that it fits fine underneath the fan shroud. And of course, it can be much taller than that. I actually gave a relief for the aftermarket, typical aftermarket oil cooler block offs. So if you wanted to do one of those and you wanted outlets for oil cooler, external oil cooler from there, you could do that. I'm not going to ship that but for reasons that I just specified. Plus, I think most people who want this cooling system, are going to want to use this cooling system, are going to have full flow, and you might as well use your full flow for both your oil filter and your external oil cooler. I think that's just simpler than having those oil lines into the engine bay and then finding a way to route them out, versus they're underneath the tin already and you can route them wherever you want. It's much simpler. So this is a nice piece, 6061 aluminum, built aluminum. It'll come with the pipe plug. I'll probably ship it with extra seals, just so that you have them, because they're really inexpensive to buy individually, and I can get those really easy. There'll be two studs coming out. There's actually one installed over here behind me on the on my mock-up test engine. There'll be studs, and it'll come with the studs for it that fit right here, and you'll just put it on the exact same way. Put your nuts from underneath, put your nut from the top on this side, and those essentially silicone seals will just squish down flat, and you'll get a perfect seal, and you won't have really any issues with leaking. So that's kind of the reasoning behind what I did, and duplicating that bottom piece. And in fact, one of the things that I have done in terms of these prototypes is the typical machine surface is a 3.2 RA roughness average, 3.2 micron roughness average. But to get the best possible seal with something like silicone seals or O-rings, you really want to be down in about 1.6. So actually these surface areas here are the roughness average is 1.6 microns. So it's much smoother than the rest, although you probably can't really tell much with your naked eye that that's the case. But in any case, that's what we've done to make sure that we get that positive seal. You won't have any leaking issues. And when you go if you take your engine apart, if you ever take this off or whatever, you want to replace the seals because you've done a rebuild or you're doing a new project, whatever, you can just use the same seals that are in your gasket set. So that was, this is really the final prototype. This will end up on the test engine over here when I'm testing this on a real running engine, not just testing airflow on my mock-up engine back here. And we'll just make sure it works perfectly fine. But I can't anticipate that it won't. I've already have it installed on here, and it flattens down the way it's supposed to, and so the seal should work just beautifully. But in any case, just thought I'd give you a little update on that component will come with the kit, and why I designed it the way I did. And I think it's a pretty nice piece, and I think you guys will like it too. So thanks guys, and we'll have more updates in the future. Thanks. Bye bye.